You're tuned into Bengals Breakdown, the spot where we cut straight to the football. No filler, no fluff. And today, we've got a few things you need to know about the state of the Stripes. Let's start with a name we haven't mentioned in a while, Shemar Stewart. There hasn't been much noise around his contract talks lately, but that silence, it says a lot. We'll break down exactly what it means for the Bengals and where things stand right now behind the scenes. And while the league might be in its quietest phase before training camp kicks off, this is where rosters are truly built. We'll be diving into two crucial units today, the offensive line and the linebackers. Both could be make or break for Cincinnati's Super Bowl hopes, and there are a few surprises that might just change how you see this team heading into July. But before we go deeper into the latest Bengals news, do us a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a single update. Training camp is right around the corner, and trust me, you'll want to be locked in for every snap, every headline, and every move. All right, back to business. Just dropped this week, a fresh offseason suggestion from ESPN's Aaron Schatz. He's listed one final move every NFL team should make before camp opens. For the Bengals, it's a move that could reshape their depth chart heading into August. Let's break it all down. The message is loud and clear. Get it done with Shemar Stewart. That's the call from analysts. And frankly, they're right. Cincinnati can't afford to let this contract situation linger any longer. Here's the reality. Stewart's not happy. The Bengals want language in the deal that says if he defaults, parts of his guaranteed money can be voided. From Cincinnati's side, that's not unusual. Teams across the NFL are doing it. But this is the first time the Bengals are applying that to a first-round pick. That's the sticking point. And Shemar's not just questioning the clause. He's asking why him? Why set the precedent now? Why not offer him a clean deal like Amarius Mims got last year? From his perspective, it feels personal. But this standoff has real consequences. Shemar Stewart isn't on the practice field. And yes, unsigned rookies aren't unheard of at this point in the offseason, but Stewart's case is different. He hasn't even signed the standard injury waiver, basically the document that lets him practice while negotiations are still ongoing. Why? Because the language in that waiver also doesn't sit right with him. According to reports, it doesn't match what other teams are offering their rookies. So now it's a two-front standoff. The contract language and the practice waiver. And until something gives, the Bengals' top draft pick remains a spectator. More on this as it develops, but for now, this negotiation has hit a wall, and time is ticking. At first, it looked like Shemar Stewart was just holding out because of the contract, but now it's deeper than that. Turns out, it's not just the rookie deal he's frustrated with, it's also the injury waiver. According to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, Stewart isn't practicing because he's unhappy with the terms of that waiver, too. That revelation changes the entire picture. And here's why it matters. Stewart wasn't exactly a polished product coming out of college. Just 4.5 sacks in his collegiate career. He's raw, and these off-season reps, he needs them more than most. Yet, while the Bengals are gearing up for camp, their top rookie pick is still on the sidelines. This is turning into a full-blown standoff. Will the Bengals bend and drop the new contract language? Or will they hold their ground and let Stewart sit? If neither side gives in, things could spiral. If Stewart misses all of training camp and somehow the entire season, he'd be eligible to re-enter the draft in 2025. That kind of move would be unheard of. And honestly, no one expects it to go that far. But the fact we're even talking about it tells you how unusual this situation has become. And let's be real, Stewart can't afford to lose time. He's not coming in with a long track record of dominance. He's coming in with potential. But potential only matters if it develops. Right now, that development is at a complete standstill. This isn't just a contract dispute anymore. It's a defining early chapter in Shemar Stewart's NFL career. And for the Bengals, every day he's not out there is a missed opportunity. Let's wrap things up by diving into something that's raising eyebrows around the league. The latest offensive line rankings and where the Bengals stand is flat out disrespectful. According to Sharp Football Analysis, Cincinnati's O-line is ranked 31st heading into the 2025 season. That's right, second to last in the entire NFL. The only line they ranked lower? The Houston Texans. Now, what's their reasoning? They're pointing at last season's struggles, especially in pass protection, highlighting guys like Cordell Volson and Alex Kappa, who were graded among the worst performing guards in the league. And sure, the tape wasn't pretty at times, but context matters. For starters, Kappa is no longer in Cincinnati. He's moved on to Las Vegas. And while Volson is still in the mix, there's no guarantee he even wins a starting spot in camp. So to use those two as anchors for why the entire line is near the bottom, that's not just lazy analysis, it's outdated. This year, the Bengals are shaking things up. They brought in Dylan Fairchild, a rookie with real upside. Now, yes, he's still unproven at the NFL level, but if he adjusts quickly, he could be a difference maker. Then there's Lucas Patrick, a veteran stopgap added late in free agency. He's not a long-term fix, but he brings flexibility and experience. Are there questions? Absolutely. But labeling this group as the second worst in football? That feels premature. The Bengals are betting on development, chemistry, and coaching to elevate this line. And if that happens, this unit could be far better than anyone's giving them credit for. Bottom line, there's nowhere to go but up. And Cincinnati's hoping this group rises when it matters most. Let's be honest, the Bengals' offensive line still feels like a work in progress. Late additions like Lucas Patrick are being counted on to step in and possibly start. The right guard spot in particular feels unsettled. Whether Dylan Fairchild lands on the left or right side, there's still uncertainty about who locks down the opposite guard position for the long haul. It's got that patchwork vibe again, but calling this the 31st ranked line in the league, that's a stretch. Look, last year's unit wasn't elite. There's a reason Frank Pollock was replaced and the Bengals brought in Scott Peters to coach up this group. But let's keep it real. 2023 was still the best offensive line Joe Burrow has had in his NFL career so far. And that matters. A big part of the story is how Cincinnati plays. This offense spreads the field, often going 5 wide with no extra blockers. That limits protection schemes and naturally puts more pressure on the offensive line. When you commit to that kind of aggressive passing approach, your linemen are always under the microscope. Then there's Joe Burrow himself, a magician in the pocket, but one who extends plays and holds the ball longer than most. That's part of his brilliance, but it's also part of why he takes hits. And when he gets hit, the O-line often gets blamed, fair or not. Let's not forget, the offensive line that got Cincinnati to the Super Bowl in 2021 was flat out bad, but they got the job done when it counted. Last year's line, far from perfect, but clearly improved. The issue isn't just protection, it's how the system and the quarterback play into the equation. Now, with Scott Peters in the building, the Bengals are banking on technical growth, more discipline, and a reset in the trenches. So, yeah, 31st feels more like lazy ranking than accurate scouting. Let's not sugarcoat it. If Cincinnati's offensive line ends up being the 31st best in the NFL, this team isn't making a deep postseason run. Yeah, they made the Super Bowl in 2021 with a weaker unit, but betting on history to repeat itself with the same flaws? That's not a sustainable formula. This line has to be better. Period. Now shifting to another key unit that's gone through a quiet but important transition, the linebackers. According to PFF's Dalton Wasserman, the Bengals linebacker group ranks 15th in the NFL, middle of the pack. And that's actually encouraging, especially considering what happened last season. Because let's be real, the defense struggled and linebacker play was a big part of that. Logan Wilson was a beast against the run, but his coverage took a hit. And when he went down with a knee injury late in the year, everything fell apart at that second level. His absence was felt immediately, and it exposed just how thin the Bengals were behind him. And it didn't help that Jermaine Pratt, who had been a longtime anchor next to Wilson, had a down year and is now gone. His departure leaves a leadership void and raises questions about who steps up next. Enter Demetrius Knight Jr. The Bengals used a second-round pick on him for a reason. He's explosive, instinctive, and the expectation is that he'll line up next to Wilson and bring a new level of speed and energy to the linebacker room. It's a reset, and a necessary one. So while the ranking might seem average on the surface, there's real potential for this group to overperform if Knight adjusts quickly and Wilson returns to full health. It's not a dominant duo, yet, but the upside is there, and for a Bengals defense looking to rebound, that might be one of the biggest developments to watch this summer. There's a lot to be intrigued by when you look at Cincinnati's revamped linebacker room, and the Bengals are clearly betting on youth, speed, and upside. Barrett Carter, the fourth-round pick out of Clemson, might not carry the same expectations as Demetrius Knight Jr., but don't sleep on his potential. He's got the range and athleticism to become a valuable rotational piece, especially on passing downs. He'll need to adapt fast, but if he does, this unit could surprise people. Then there's Oren Burks, the veteran pickup who just won a ring in Philly. He brings experience, playoff reps, and leadership to a young room that needs exactly that. What his snap count looks like is still up in the air, but one thing's clear: he's here for more than just special teams. What really gives this linebacker rebuild credibility, though, is the presence of Al Golden. This guy isn't new to the Bengals culture. He was the linebackers coach during the 2021 Super Bowl run. And guess who's back in the same role now? That matters. You can tell Cincinnati trusted him during the draft process. Out of just 6 total picks, 2 were linebackers, Knight and Carter. That's not a coincidence. That's a coordinator building the exact room he wants. And here's the bigger picture. The Bengals aren't trying to build the number 1 defense in football. With Burrow, Chase, and Higgins eating most of the cap, this team knows it's going to win games by scoring points. So the goal on defense isn't domination, it's competence. Stay in the top 15, maybe the top 20 in the right situations. If the linebackers can hold their ground and stop the bleeding, this team will be in the postseason mix. And with this offense, that's all you need.